And good morning, everybody, and welcome to Brunch. I'm Mike Missanelli. Of course, after every Eagles game, we do the Eagles wrap up, where we look back at the previous game and what was the last night. I know a lot of people are tired of these late night games where you have to stay up early and you got to get to work, or stay up late and get to work early the next morning. But the Eagles made it worth it yesterday. A hard-earned 16-9 win over the Detroit Lions. And it's best described as a defensive masterpiece. I mean, let's face it, that their defense right now is as dominant as you can find a defense in the NFL. And it's so good that you forget about their woes on offense. Now, let's look at the woes on offense just a little bit here. Tough night to play offense. Detroit Lions had a really tough time playing offense last night, and so did the Eagles with the whipping wind and the cold. I'm not trying to make excuses for the offense because a lot of things have to improve, no question about it. But that defense was just relentless last night. Jared Goff looked like he wanted to take his ball and go home. He really did. He never got comfortable at all in the pocket. Same thing they did to Jordan Love last week. And so the bottom line is the Eagles have disposed of two NFC contenders in a span of 6 days. Now, that's pretty impressive. They're rolling right now. They're a really good team. We're going to nitpick. I know this is Philadelphia. We're going to nitpick about what they don't do, but what they did last night was unbelievable. Let's just look at some of my observations from last night. The defense holding the second-ranked offense in the league. Second-ranked, Detroit was, to just 9 points after last week holding Green Bay to just 7. The Lions were 0 for 5 going for it on fourth down. Now, I know Dan Campbell's made this a cottage industry. He always goes for it. He's got his own damn commercial now. So, but 0 for 5 on going for it on fourth down and turned the ball over back to the Eagles. The offense didn't capitalize, but with this D, it hasn't seemed to matter much. The Eagles only scored 6 points off of all those stops they made, and a lot of them were in their own territory. But nightmare for Jared Goff. Pressured all night. Look at the stars in this game. Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Moro Ajamo made it hell for that Detroit offensive line and for Jared Goff. Opening drive for the Lions. Davis gets the reflection. Sheen gets the interception. Returns it 21 yards. Gives them a 3-0 lead. You'd like to see them score a touchdown there. But still, they get on the board with a 3-0 lead. Carter and Davis combined for 5 batted down passes, 3 for Davis alone. Jalen Phillips got his first sack. They snuffed out a fake punt on 4th and 2 from the Lions 43 when Stewart took a direct snap up the middle for no gain. Foolish decision by Dan Campbell. And, there are people that look at Dan Campbell and go, he'll never win because he makes these foolish decisions. But Jalen Hunt made the stop on that play. They now stopped him at the 4-yard line with pressure on Goff. On offense, the Eagles took over on Lions territory 3 times. They had to settle for field goals twice in the second half. 3 turnovers on downs for the Lions led to only 1 field goal for the Eagles. That's not good. But again, we're talking about the overall context of this game and what it meant defensively for the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles struggled with execution on offense, but late in the second quarter, they had their first TD drive, in part thanks to Tank Bigsby, who comes out of nowhere again and rips off a 17-yard run for the Eagles to get to the Eagles' 40-yard line. That drive ended with a tush-push TD, put the Eagles up 13-6, which actually should have been 13-7 if Jameson Williams didn't decide to hump the goalpost after he scored that touchdown for the Lions. But in any event, 13-6 was enough. You just knew that the Lions weren't going to have any kind of a quick strike offense to get back into this game. The tush-push last night, not so tushy. 2 penalties and a stop for the tush push last night. And then later in the game, he goes for a tush push deep in his own territory, which gave the Lions a quick 3 points to put them within striking distance at that score 16-9. They were a touchdown away from actually tying the game or going ahead. The clincher, obviously, 3rd and 8. The Lions were still in the game at that point on a 3rd and 8 with just under 2 minutes to play. Rock Yassin was called for a pass interference on A.J. Brown. I looked at that play and I said, boy, the Eagles got a break. I know we complain all the time about how the officials don't favor the Philadelphia Eagles, but there was a situation where you mean to tell me you look at that play, you're going to say That was pass interference on Rock Yassin. That would have turned the ball over back to the Lions, and maybe they would have had a chance there. But that was basically your ball game right there. The Eagles defense just totally relentless. Let's look at a few stats here. Defensively, rushing the Lions with Jahmyr Gibbs only 39 yards, 74 yards total for Detroit rushing the football. And Jared Goff was 14 for 37 for 243 yards. That's a lot of passes. A lot of throws in that win. No good. When you look at Gibbs receiving, he did have 5 catches for 107 yards out of the backfield, which is pretty good. Jameson Williams hurt him a little bit with 4 catches for 88. Jalen Hurts on the other side, very mediocre game. This is probably his lowest rating of the year, 63.8, 14 for 28 for 135 yards. I thought it was interesting that they opened up throwing the football instead of running it in this weather. But in any event, Saquon Barkley did get 26 carries in this game for 83 yards. Tank Bigsby, again, 4 carries, 34 big yards for him. And finally, Hurts, 10 for 31. When they ran him at a complete running design plays for the quarterback, he was very efficient. He broke a couple open there. A.J. Brown, okay. A.J., complaining about not getting the ball. They made it a point, or they did not make it a point. I don't know, maybe it was part of the game plan. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe they made an emphasis. Maybe they didn't. 11 targets for A.J. Brown last night. 7 receptions for 49 yards. Jahan Dotson, again, with a monster catch. He always seems to make 1 catch every game. He got the big one for 34 yards in this game. Dallas Goedert, very pedestrian, 2 catches for 24. Devontae Smith, only 1 catch for 8. So their passing game was not exactly potent last night. They had 148 yards rushing, 135 yards passing. Not a great offensive output for the Philadelphia Eagles last night. But again, they are now 8-2. They're the best team in the NFC. I think last night, the challenge of the Lions coming in here, and a lot of people thinking that, well, this is going to be a loss for them. And it is not a loss. And I want you to, and we'll look at the end of the show, we'll look at their upcoming schedule. But I want you to look at it right now. If you look at the upcoming schedule, the Eagles will be favored in probably every game except maybe one when they have to go to Buffalo. And that'll be a slight line. That it's possible that the Eagles only lose one more game the rest of the year. We'll go over the schedule. All right, so what we'll do now, we'll take a quick break, and we'll come back with the sounds of the game. Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, and also we'll go over our play-by-play where I'll go over every series in this game. This is Birds Brunch with Mike Missanelli. Thanks for viewing. Thanks for hanging in there and watching us. If you had a late night, I know you're probably grogging right now, so hang with us, and we'll give you all the information you need to know about a big 16-9 win over the Detroit Lions last night in Philadelphia. Back after this.
Think banking hasn't changed? Think again. At Penn Community Bank, we've been helping communities thrive for 150 years. From our nationally recognized Access Checking that offers the peace of mind of no overdrafts, to student and free checking plus options with perks that will make you wonder what you did without them, like early direct deposit, overdraft grace, and Zelle. Learn more at PennCommunityBank.com/products. Penn Community Bank. Here we grow. Account and feature terms, restrictions, and conditions apply. Ask for full details. Member FDIC.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Warm up this fall with an incredible seafood boil. Try the Uncle George with succulent snow crabs, tasty mussels, and shrimp. There's the Pete's Feast with 2 pounds of sweet succulent crab legs, a dozen shrimp, clams, and a pound of mussels. Or create your own boil. Add a lobster tail or a delicious Dungeness cluster. Include smoked sausage, corn, and potatoes, served in our tasty broth, made with white wine and our signature seasonings. A shellfish lover's dream at Chickies and Pete's.
A flawless occasion begins at the Capitol Grill. From the moment you step into the Capitol Grill, located in the heart of Center City, the experience is one of comfortable elegance. Whether you're looking to host a private affair, a perfect lunch stop, or dinner destination, start your occasion at the Capitol Grill today. Visit thecapitolgrill.com or call 215-545-9588. That's 215-545-9588 for the Capitol Grill, Center City.
we take a look at every Eagles game the day after the Eagles game. And last night, I'm telling you, I like the fact that the Eagles are in prime time because everybody gets a chance to see them. Everybody gets a chance to see who this team really is. And last night, the stars were out last night. Let's see, who was there last night? We had Bradley Cooper, of course, with his model girlfriend, Gigi Hadid, sitting in the owner's box. Does Bradley Cooper have to call Jeff Lurie for that? Or does he have just the standard invite? Because I'm sure Lurie would like to have somebody else there, right? Does Cooper get his people to call Jeff Lurie's people, say he wants to come to the game? Because he's sitting right next to Lurie every game. How does he get that catbird seat when somebody else, I'm sure Lurie would like to invite? Is he just dominating the invites here? Is Bradley getting a little obnoxious? Mike Trout was sitting in his seats, of course. You had Pink at the game last night. Pink was at the game. So anybody with a connection to Philadelphia is now glomming on, except Pete Davidson. What is his connection to the Eagles? Pete Davidson is at the game. The stars are coming out for the Philadelphia Eagles. All right, let's get to the sounds of the game. Nick Sirianni, after the game. This team just wins and wins and wins and wins and wins. I don't know how they do it. He's got some kind of magic touch. They're winners. Here's what he had to say about this team winning so much.
Winning. I think our guys have this knack of knowing. I think as I watch football today, I feel like I saw a lot of like teams waiting to lose. Our team's waiting to win because they know how to win. And there's something to be said for that, of knowing how to win and knowing how to figure out ways to win. Do we want things to be better? Yeah, of course. You're in a constant quest of getting better. And we're going to be, like I said, crazy tomorrow about the things that we're working tomorrow. And I don't care what time the game got over or whatever it is, we're working tomorrow to get better. And that will be our mission. But it is, you sense it in those moments from the coaches and from the players and from myself. Like, we know how to win, and we're going to figure out a way to win the game.
They do. So I'm totally disarmed by the guy. I don't know what magic he has in there, but they have the look of a team that really is together and wins together. It's pretty phenomenal. This team, this might be the best Eagle. I hate to say this, but it might be the best Eagles team that I've ever seen, especially defensively. When you look at great defenses in this league, if you watched that game last night and didn't think that was one of the great defenses you're going to see, well, I don't know what you're looking at. That is an amazing performance last night. All right. He also talked about the offense and the slowness that's with this offense that can't seem to get it together consistently. Again, I look at the game last night and I go, yeah, listen, that's really tough to move the ball. In those kind of conditions, it's really tough to move the ball because you can't pass the ball like you wanted to pass the ball. So let's hear what Nick had to say about his current offense.
Yeah, obviously we want to be better than what we were tonight, but every game's played a little bit different. Like the way the game is played sometimes is dictated of what's happening in the game, right? Make no mistake about it, our goal in every single game is to come out with a win, period, right? And so sometimes the game's played a little bit differently in that, and we're able to get a 10-point lead. And so every game is played to win, but do we have to clean up things on offense? Of course we do. We're gonna have to clean up as good as the defense played. We're gonna have to clean up things on defense. As good as the special teams played, we're gonna have to clean up things on special teams. But we have to be on offense. There's some shooting ourselves in the foot that's happening, and some of those things are things that, we always talk about takes no talent, right? And when we have such good talent that we have to be able to master the things that take no talent so our talent can shine.
I'm with them. The way they win games, I don't get carried away about how they didn't move the ball a particular way. They were in control of that game the whole game. Did anybody really think the Detroit Lions were going to come from behind and win that game, even when the score was 3-0? I know it was tied there for a while. I get it. But, the Eagles defense is it's one of those defenses that you go, how could it possibly fall off? The way Vic Fangio's got this team playing, how could that defense possibly fall off? Jalen Phillips has been an amazing addition. He got his first sack last night as an Eagle. Hunt on the other side has played well, Nolan Smith. But those tackles in the middle, when you got a Jomo, when you got Jordan Davis, and you got Jalen Carter, it is just phenomenal the push they're getting. The batted balls in this league don't happen as often as the Eagles are making it happen. They have a technique where they get up and they get their hands up and they get right in that passing lane. They are taught very well by Fangio. The linebackers have been superb. Quinyon Mitchell, fantastic. And Dory Jackson is even up the level of his game. The safeties, the Gene is good. Makuba is good. Blankenship comes in, gets some hits. That's a ferocious defense. So I'm good with all of that. Now, going for it on fourth down. Two coaches that like to go for it a lot on fourth down. Some are foolish, some are not. In a game like that last night, I would have thought more about punting and go for it on fourth down. I would have just given into the elements. But the Eagles did manage to mess up a couple of fourth down conversions. So here's what Nick Sirianni had to say about missing those fourth downs, especially the one late in the game, which I thought was really a bad one.
Played awesome. I got a ton of confidence in my guys, in our guys to go out and execute. Obviously, I'm going to be second guessing myself about the fourth and 1 in our own territory there. But awesome job by the defense holding them to 3 there. We got about half of it the play before. I thought we could get the other half right there. We didn't. So I have to live with that. When we don't execute on fourth down, I again have a ton of confidence in our guys to be able to do so. If you don't have the confidence, I don't care what numbers say what, you don't go for it there. But I had a lot of confidence and it didn't work. So anytime it doesn't work in a fourth down situation, I'm always going to be hypercritical of myself because it's on me making that decision. And I'll go back and look at it. Hey, it didn't work. So obviously when I'm sitting here right now, I'm like, oh, I should have punted it there. If it works, you're able to either drain their timeouts there or take another 2 minutes off the clock. But in that case, it didn't work, and I gave him a short field right there, so that's 100% on me.
Yeah, see, I need more than that. I need more than that. It's 100% on me. It's foolish. He said he got half of it down before. Yeah, okay, whatever you did, it's foolish to go for it there, to give them any kind of points. You got to look at time situation, right? And the only way the Lions can get back in the game is if you make them get back in the game. If you don't make that right there, you let them back in the game where they have a viable chance to tie the game or even go ahead. So, I don't care about how much confidence you have in your guys. There's being smart and there's being foolish. And to me, that's foolish. And I think that maybe he should have been pressed a little more on that. When the game is secure, you punt the football away. You don't have to take chances like that. I get it. If he converts, the game's probably over and blah, 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 in 2 minutes and all bit. But when the circumstance is, listen, hey, if we don't get it, they score here. Even if they kick a field goal, they're within a touchdown here. So that's too risky. And that, the analytics could not have said go for it there. So he must have overruled the analytics. All right, let's get to Jalen Hurts. The controversy of A.J. Brown, it was talked about on the broadcast a lot. So our remedy for that, at least my remedy for that, is get him the damn ball. Keep him happy early in the game. And they tried to get him the ball early in the game. Petulo finally listened, and they got him 11 targets. I believe it was 11 targets. Let's see. It was, 11 targets. And 7 receptions out of those 11 targets. So, is he satisfied? Well, let's ask Jalen Hurts if he made a conscious effort to get the ball to A.J. Brown a little more.
Yeah, just going with the flow of the game and how it was called, and trying to go out there and execute.
So it wasn't like an effort to get him the football.
That may be a KP question.
That may be a KP question. All right. So he's not going to admit that he made a conscious. This isn't really. It's a kind of a taffy pull between these two guys now, right? And now the A answer could have been, yeah, we wanted to really get him involved early. AJ's a great player. What are you going to do? But he won't go there. He won't go there. And he'll say, well, that's the offensive coordinator. You better ask Kevin Patullo about that. That's his purview. Maybe it was just Kevin Patullo, and Jalen Hurts gets the play call and he executes the play call. But did that seem like a weird answer to you? A little snarky? That, I don't know. I'm not giving in to AJ. He's not giving in to me. We're not getting along right now. So no, I'm not going to admit to you that I'm going to pacify him and give him like some kind of a Tootsie Roll pop. I don't know. I have no idea what's going on. And anyway, the quarterback also talked about how it made his job a little easier the way the Eagles played defense last night. Here's what he had to say.
We talked a lot about those Georgia guys on the other side of the ball and how familiar they are with one another. And I think they bring a special energy to the defense and to the team. And you see it out there today, all those guys making plays, defense playing lights out. One of the best performances I've ever seen. So really, really big time game on that side of the ball. To be able to do what they did on fourth down against a really good offense, a potent offense that's capable of doing really, really special things. And I have a lot of respect for that.
Yeah, well, last night you had to have respect for them, the way that defense played. He had a little Wheaties T-shirt on last night. Jalen normally a little underdressed last night for that. Does that mean we got a Wheaties box coming up for Jalen Hurts? I don't know. Anyway, AJ Brown, we got to hear from AJ. I don't know how many people asked him whether he was satisfied he finally got the ball, but he started talking about the deep ball miscues of last night where they couldn't connect. Here's what he had to say.
Constant hand fighting down the field, and just miss, Not just saying he missed, but like we just missed.
How much does the weather?
I couldn't get to it.
All right.
All right. Did anybody, Matt Miro, my producer, did anybody ask him about getting the ball a little more?
I believe so, but I think he gave a similar quick answer.
A similar quick answer?
Yes, quick snippet.
So he didn't want to get
kind of like when Jalen said the KP thing, just quick, kind of get out of it. Like a boxer getting out of the corner.
Matt Miro is the producer of the show. Matt, what do you make of that answer by Jalen Hurts?
I am a different person on Jalen. I related to Derek G. I'm watching the A-Rod documentary you recommended watching.
Yeah.
And Derek Jeter always said his goal was to keep that element out of the locker room as best as he can. And if you can help us win, I'm fine playing with A-Rod. So that's my analogy now of it between Jalen and AJ Brown.
So you do believe there's still that little edge?
Totally, yes.
Total edge, and that that was befitting of his answer.
Yes.
All right, let's go to we have a comment from Micah Bratton. I can't tell if Jalen is tired of AJ or the media questions. Well, listen, man, the media always gets blamed. The media has to ask the questions, all right? So if he's tired of the media questions, then, that's tough noogies, I guess. But I don't know, man. It seems to me that, if he was embracing A.J. Brown, like last night was a perfect time to say, yeah, we did. We want him involved in the game. We need to get A.J. involved in the game. And he could have thrown him a little bit of a bone. But he did not throw him a little bit of a bone there. And that's surprising. I don't think that's being tired of the media. I think that's being tired of answering questions. He doesn't want to give in to A.J. Brown. You feel that, Matt, that he doesn't want to, like these guys that both have egos, and one doesn't want to look like the punk, right? Like he demands that I get him the ball, but I'm not going to get him the ball when he demands it. Is that one of those things that you see that like sometimes between teammates?
Yeah, you mentioned the taffy analogy. They're pulling and see who's going to get ripped first. Now, historically, I think quarterbacks win these battles, correct? Wide receivers don't, usually.
Well, I don't know. Did T.O. or McNabb win?
Well, Donovan stayed, right? T.O. was out of there.
The whole fan base was on T.O.'s side more than they were on McNabb's
right.
side. Now that's because they didn't like McNabb, and they like Jalen Hurts a little better than McNabb. but they were all on T.O.'s side. I don't sense that this fan base has turned on AJ at all, and I've seen it in the past where they could turn on a guy like AJ for constantly complaining, but for some reason he has sort of immunity with the fan base, and Jalen Hurts does too. So this is going to go on forever. It's not a dire situation, I guess. Those guys can still help this team win, but yeah, there's something that's happened between these two, and yeah, that's the way it rolls. Let's get one more piece of sound here. This is Jalen Phillips on the game plan and the story of the game and how delighted he is to play with this Philadelphia Eagles team and how he has really solidified. I mean, he's on the field all the time now. They don't. Did Brandon Graham play at all? He may play one snap, but Jalen Phillips is one of those guys you just throw him out there and you keep him out there. Here's what he had to say after the game.
It was a dominant defensive performance. I'm going to start with you. You guys held this potent Lions offense to just 9 points. How'd you do it?
Just technique and fundamentals. You know, it's the same stuff every week. Being physical, we knew they were a physical team coming in. We had to outmatch that. And so, you know, they come in the house, they have to get what they deserve. So, you know, we go out there and we do our thing, do the fundamentals, do everything right.
We saw batted pass after batted pass by you. What's the key to that?
I would say be 6'6" for starters, you know, get your hands up, 35, long arms. But, you know, it's really just timing and understanding who you're going against and understanding the timing of the QB. Like I said, it's all technique and fundamentals when you just have to go out there and do it.
And Jalen, you said that last week you couldn't have scripted a better story for your first game with this team. What's the story for your second game?
Man, the story is I thought we played an amazing game. Like Jordan said, technique and fundamentals, just gritty. Man, all those fourth down stops, like that's how you win football games. So, man, just kudos to everybody. It's amazing being part of this team, and, yeah, it's crazy.
And you said that being part of this team was literally the best thing that has ever happened to you. You still feel that way?
Doubling down on that statement.
I think your fiance, who's pregnant with your first child, may argue with you on that one.
It'll be all right. It'll be all right. That'll replace this as the greatest one of my life. But as we speak, until he's born and I'm married, this is the greatest thing that's happened to me. So we'll take it.
Well, he seems like a delightful kid, man. He really does. He's excited about this whole thing. So, yeah, that's our sound of the game. Well, one interesting little this is like underplayed because you don't really look at it. Jordan Mailata against Aiden Hutchinson. And he just cuffed him all night. Aiden Hutchinson did not get into the Eagles' backfield at all. And you can look at the other side as well. Lane Johnson's hurt. Fred Johnson's in there at that point. So Aiden Hutchinson not a factor. I think the stat with Mailata was that he played like 39 snaps and allowed one pressure the whole night, which is pretty phenomenal. So a total team effort for the Eagles there. Let's take another quick break. We'll come back. We're going to go over every series, play by play. And, of course, coming up the drive of the game, the play of the game, the non-play of the game. We'll go around the NFL. We'll give some grades for the Philadelphia Eagles, and we'll look at their upcoming schedule. Plenty more to come on Birds Brunch with Mike Missanelli. Let's take a break, and we're back after this.
This is Tommy Green from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. Every champion needs a good game plan. BCWSA and I want to make sure you have a game plan when it comes to conserving our most precious resource, water. Whether you're washing dishes, brushing your teeth, or watering your garden, there are ways you can save water and save money. Visit bcwsa.net for tips on conserving water. BCWSA, proven.
A flawless occasion begins at the Capitol Grill. From the moment you step into the Capitol Grill, located in the heart of Center City, the experience is one of comfortable elegance. Whether you're looking to host a private affair, a perfect lunch stop, or dinner destination, start your occasion at the Capitol Grill today. Visit thecapitolgrill.com or call 215-545-9588. That's 215-545-9588 for the Capitol Grill, Center City.
Think banking hasn't changed? Think again. At Penn Community Bank, we've been helping communities thrive for 150 years. From our nationally recognized Access Checking that offers the peace of mind of no overdrafts, to student and free checking plus options with perks that will make you wonder what you did without them, like early direct deposit, overdraft grace, and Zelle. Learn more at penncommunitybank.com/products. Penn Community Bank. Here we grow. Account and feature terms, restrictions, and conditions apply. Ask for full details. Member FDIC.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Warm up this fall with an incredible seafood boil. Try the Uncle George with succulent snow crabs, tasty mussels, and shrimp. There's the Pete's Feast with 2 pounds of sweet succulent crab legs, a dozen shrimp, clams, and a pound of mussels. Or create your own boil. Add a lobster tail or a delicious Dungeness cluster. Include smoked sausage, corn, and potatoes, served in our tasty broth, made with white wine and our signature seasonings. A shellfish lover's dream at Chickies and Pete's.
All right, we are back on Birds Brunch. I am Mike Missanelli. By the way, you can join our chat just on the right side of your screen. Just hit join the chat, and we'll read your comments. EJ Butler says this defense has that look like last year. Well, I think they have a better look than last year. I really do. I think they're more complete of a defense this year. They have so many more players. There's so many. They're so deeper. Makuba makes them deeper. Cooper DeJean makes them deeper. Jalen Phillips makes them deeper. They're really pretty good. All right, let's go over our play-by-play here. So in the first quarter, the Eagles get the ball first. Detroit wins the toss. They elected to defer. The Eagles get it first. Now, on a windy night, I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be Saquon Barkley's drive. But it wasn't. They came out throwing. First 2 passes of the game, they threw to Smith and Goddard incomplete on a 3rd and 10. They get A.J. Brown on a completion, and the crowd goes crazy. There it was, the derisive cheers. Finally get A.J. the ball. But there's a Lane Johnson hold on Hutchinson, and that set them back, so they had to punt. And the Lions took over at the 14-yard line. This is where it starts. The carnage starts at the 14-yard line. Deflection by Jordan Davis. Cooper DeJean picks it off. The Eagles set up at the 11. They don't get a touchdown out of it, but they do get a field goal by Jake Elliott. So they're up 3-0 with 9:43 left in the first quarter. Their second Eagles drive is a incompletion to Brown, which no, excuse me, that's the drive I'm talking about, the 3-0. The Lions then get a drive at the 21-yard line. So they're not starting in real good field position. Phillips gets his sack on Goff, 3 and out. They have to punt it. Plus, there's a -10 on hold. So the Eagles set up at the 20-yard line. They get Barkley for 15 yards. And it looks like, okay, here comes Saquon. He's going to bust loose. Then they go Hurts to Goddard for a first down. But then it fizzles. And on 4th down, they have to punt. The Lions start their next drive at the 12-yard line. This is where Lane Johnson is out of the game. You see him going to the locker room at that drive. So the Lions now move it a little bit. They get a first down. They get another first down to the 37. They get a first down on 19 yards to Jamison Williams to the Eagles' 44-yard line. So this Lions vaunted offense finally moving. Now they get to 3rd and 8, and they run it. And I'm going, well, that's a peculiar call by Dan Campbell. 3rd and 8, they run it. Now it's 4th and 6. They keep their offense on the field, but they're keeping their offense on the field just to see if they get the Eagles to jump. They take a delay of the game, and they have to punt it away. Very unusual they ran the ball there in that particular situation. Now the Eagles at the 15-yard line, nothing happening here. Hurts is 3 for 8 at that point on a 3rd and 8 incompletion. We get into the second quarter. The 4th Lions possession, they started at the 39-yard line. They get it to 4th and 1.5, and Gibbs is stopped by Ojama. They go for it on 4th down, so the Eagles take over right there at the 48-yard line of the Lions. Again, aggressive Dan Campbell. It backfires on him. They try to go for the bomb. It was way long, way overthrown by Hurts on that first play. Then Hurts behind Goddard. So Hurts was 3 for 10 for 21 yards there. It didn't look like he had any zip on the ball. 3rd and 10 pass was incomplete to the right side. Didn't look like he had any zip. They have to punt. The 5th Lions possession, they took over at the 36 after a face mask penalty on Trotter. And here's the dumb play of the night. The fake it with the direct snap to Grant Stewart, and that's the non-play of the game because the Eagles snuffed that out. The Eagles then take over at the Lions 43, and this is our drive of the game. They get Barkley for 8. They get Barkley for another first down. Hurts incomplete, and then Hurts short to A.J. Hurts then runs it and gets the first down at the 21-yard line. 3rd and 11 run by Jalen Hurts just after Chris Collinsworth said, you got to run him more on direct runs, on called runs. They get it right there. Big loss to the 26 on a lateral pass to Barkley. 3rd and 15, Hurts to A.J. to the 16-yard line, and they go for it there on 4th and 5, but timeout, and they decide not to go for it. They kick the field goal. It's 34 yards, and it's 6-0. Drive of the game right there. The Eagles getting the field goal. The Lions now take over at the 26-yard line. Goff for 34 yards to Amon-Ra St. Brown. First down at the Eagles 40. Crossing pattern to Jameis Williams for the 40-yard TD. Penalty celebration. I don't know what gets into these guys. You can't hop on the goalpost and embrace the goalpost and do like some gymnastics move backwards. That is a penalty. That's just stupid, because now that sends the PAT is now 48 yards into the wind, and he blew it right, completely blew it right. So we're tied at 6-6. The Eagles then get the ball at the 36. Now, okay, I'm going to reverse it. This has got to be the drive of the game. This gets him the touchdown. To AJ for 9. That was his 8th target. He had 6 catches at that point. To Granson for first down at the 49. Hurts then to Dotson, first down at the 38. Tank Bigsby, 17 yards to the 23-yard line. Slant to AJ with the one safety look. Money play. They get it to the 6. And Barkley for the touchdown. Short, 32 seconds left. Pushed. They thought it was a touchdown. It turned out to be short of a touchdown, but they get the push TD. 13-6 Eagles. And really, that's all they needed at that point. So if you look at the second half, you can go over all the things. They got a 4th down stop on 4th and goal at the 4 because Goff was pressured, incomplete. Moving on, the second Eagle big. Now, I thought this was we have our play of the game, but I thought that this was equally a big play of the game. It didn't amount to anything. But if you recall, in the third quarter, late in the third quarter, Hurts was flushed. He scrambles out of his own end zone. He finds Dotson and fires it way down the right sideline and gets Dotson for a big gain. And then there was a helmet hit. But then Hurts got sacked back at drove him back to the Eagles 48, and his 3rd and 15 pass was incomplete. But that play, I looked at it and go, that's a play of the game. It didn't develop into anything, but I thought that was a fantastic play of the game. All right. The Giants really couldn't throw. The Lions really couldn't throw because of all these hits and pressures. Gibbs for 33 on a screen pass. They did get that. And Elliott gets another field goal a little later early in the fourth quarter to make it 16-6. 5 failures on 4th down for the Lions at that point. And then here comes the non-play of the game. Non-play of the game. The Eagles are at their own 30 or their 29. They had run a push before. They inched up a little bit. So they had like maybe a yard to go. And he decides to do it again. And that led to a field goal for the Lions of 54 yards to make it 16-9. Let me bring Matt Muro in again, because maybe I got the wrong perspective on this. It's one thing being aggressive. It's another thing being foolish. Now, can you give me any reason why you would go for it in that particular situation?
Hubris.
Hubris. Hubris does not win games.
Well, I think he thinks sometimes it has. And the ignorance now is becoming more and more ignorant, maybe.
All right. Again, if it makes sense, aggression makes sense to me. But aggression there doesn't make sense because you're giving the other team points.
You're right.
A risk-reward type of situation, if the risk is you're going to give the team points and keep them in the game where they can actually tie the game, then you just don't do it. If you punt it, you take that risk completely away.
I think analytically now, a lot of these coaches who are offensive minds ideally want to keep their offense on the field than give an offense the ball back. I don't think it's correct.
Look where you're giving them the ball back.
You're right. You're right.
If you don't get it, listen. If you're at, I don't know, if you're at the other team's 48, you're up at midfield. Then I got no problem with that because they're not going to kick a field goal from the 48, but they're going to kick a field goal at the very least if you give them the ball there.
Yeah.
So I just think that's a horrible mistake.
Agreed.
Right.
Agreed.
Hey, man. Let's get to our comments. We got a lot of comments on the board today. Mike, you missed what's going on with the offense. I knew we were going to get a question like that. That's from Go Sixers. 546. What's wrong with the Sixers offense? I'll ask you that. No, what's going on with the offense? The offense last night was not going to cook. It was not a weather night where the offense was going to cook. Steve Savino says Collingsworth was wetting himself with that run by Hurts. He was, because he was calling it. And he said, hey, see, there you go. Design runs by Hurts. They're a completely different team when they have design runs by Hurts. He failed to mention, though, when he was saying that you're going to get your quarterback cracked up, especially in a game like this. The design runs with Jalen Hurts. You want to kind of stay away from them as much as possible. I get his point. But again, you don't want to overdo that. Prove John says, truth be told, the run game has been flaccid. Need to get that going to open up the passing game. No question about it. It has been flaccid. Although, I don't know. That word needed to be used there. And Prove John also says, right now, defenses are keying in on Saquon. We saw what Tank was able to do it with a few runs. Yeah, but you play Tank differently than you play Saquon. I get it. Maybe you get him in there for a few more runs. I guess that would be worth it. All right, we'll take a quick break. We're going to come back with our around the NFL and our Eagles' remaining schedule. All that good stuff is coming up on Birds Brunch with Mike Missanelli. We're back after this.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Warm up this fall with an incredible seafood boil. Try the Uncle George with succulent snow crabs, tasty mussels, and shrimp. There's the Pete's Feast with 2 pounds of sweet succulent crab legs, a dozen shrimp, clams, and a pound of mussels. Or create your own boil. Add a lobster tail or a delicious Dungeness cluster. Include smoked sausage, corn, and potatoes, served in our tasty broth, made with white wine and our signature seasonings. A shellfish lover's dream at Chickies and Pete's.
Think banking hasn't changed? Think again. At Penn Community Bank, we've been helping communities thrive for 150 years. From our nationally recognized Access Checking that offers the peace of mind of no overdrafts, to student and free checking plus options with perks that will make you wonder what you did without them. Like early direct deposit, overdraft grace, and Zelle. Learn more at PennCommunityBank.com/products. Penn Community Bank. Here we grow. Account and feature terms, restrictions, and conditions apply. Ask for full details. Member FDIC.
Your day-to-day life is hectic between having to pick up the kids, make dinner, the countless other tasks that you got to get done. Rob's Automotive and Collision is there to make your life a whole lot easier. Make sure you take advantage of their spacious waiting rooms, the large flat-screen TVs, complimentary coffee and muffins, and free Wi-Fi. So even when you do have to stop, Rob's is there to make you feel right at home. Give Rob's a call today at 215-826-9200 for any of your auto repair needs.
All right, Birds Brunch with Mike Missanelli. We take a look back at every Eagles game. Of course, last night they topped the Detroit Lions on a really great defensive effort for the Philadelphia Eagles last night. One of the ones you're going to, it's one of the best ones you're ever going to see. And again, if this defense is this good, I can't imagine who beats this team. Now, I'm not even considering the AFC right now, but who in the NFC beats this team right now? All right, we have to settle on our play of the game and non-play of the game, and I think I have them both. Our play of the game, I can't ignore the fact that the tip ball for the Lions' first drive that gave them 3 points was the play of the game. Even though you can look at some of the things they did offensively to get that touchdown, that's a key play, man. That flips the momentum right away in your favor. You got the crowd behind you. So Jordan Davis with the tip and Cooper DeJean with the interception that leads to a field goal is my play of the game. But again, don't sell that one short where Jalen Hurts scrambled out of the end zone and hit Jahan Dotson for that big play. Non-play of the game, well, this is it's a tug of war for stupidity, basically, by both these coaches, because Dan Campbell's attempt at a direct snap going for it in the second quarter, 4th and 2 at the Lions 43, foolish play. And then Nick Sirianni counters his own 30 or 29 by going for a tush push, which they stop, and that gives the Detroit Lions the points. All right, so we've settled that right there. All right, let's go now with around the NFL, where these are all the games that caught my eye over the weekend of football. So let's start with the Bills and the Bucks. Bills and the Bucks. Josh Allen. Oh my goodness. Throws for 3 touchdowns, rushes for 3 more. The last on a 9-yard run with 235 left, where he just bulldozed fools. 9 lead changes in this game. The Bucs had a shot, but Baker Mayfield was sacked. He lost the fumble. He was sacked by Daquan Jones. He lost the fumble. Here is Josh Allen's game winner.
2nd and 3. Allen is going to keep it. Josh Allen inside the 5. They're going to push him in. Pay dirt. Touchdown, Bills.
That dude is something else, man. I don't know if he's ever going to win a Super Bowl, and he has to cement his legacy as one of the great quarterbacks in this league. But boy, his numbers: 19 and 30 for 317 against the Bucs, 6 runs for 40 yards against the Bucs. You know, we looked at the Bucs as an NFC contender. They're not an NFC contender. They're not in the same league as the Eagles. All right, let's look at the Packers and the Giants. I don't know why I'm doing this, but it was Mike Kafka's first head coaching game for the New York Giants after he took over for the fired Brian Dable. The Packers outlasted them here. Jameis Winston was the quarterback for the Giants in this game. A lot of backups had to play this weekend. Jameis Winston played. Mason Rudolph played. Davis Mills, of course, starts for the Texans. Kirk Cousins even had to come in and play this weekend. But in any event, Jordan Love threw 2 TD passes. He did sit out a couple of plays because Malik Willis had to come in the game. Another backup. Willis actually threw for a touchdown. Go-ahead drive in the fourth quarter. Love's hit Savion Williams for 32 yards on a 3rd and 10, and then he sets up this beauty to Christian Watson, who made a magnificent catch in the end zone. Here it is.
Ball on a high snap. Floats it. Watson up top. It is caught! Touchdown Packers! Green Bay's got the lead.
Yeah, there you go. What a great catch by Christian Watson in that play. We got the audio for that. Seahawks and the Rams, big game of the weekend, besides the Eagles and the Lions. Sam Darnold got picked 4 times in this game. The Rams win it 21-19. Cameron Kitchens had 2 of the 4 Rams interceptions. Matthew Stafford threw 2 touchdown passes. Jason Myers had a chance. 61-yard field goal attempt to win the game for the Seahawks as time expired. Do we have it? Let's see if we got it. Here it is.
From 61, does he have enough? It is wide right, and the Rams hang on.
Wide right. Oh, good. 61 yards. Can't expect the guy to hit a 61-yarder to win it. Chiefs and Broncos. Oh, boy. The Broncos must be for real. The Broncos are now 9-2. They bury the Chiefs in the AFC West. They're now 5-5, the Chiefs. Will Lutz kicks 5 field goals, including a 35-yard game winner as time expired, as the Broncos win 22-19 for their 8th straight victory. The big play in this game, Knicks to Troy Franklin for 32 yards that got Denver to the Kansas City 15 with less than a minute left. Here it is.
Here's Knicks on 2nd and 8. Going for a big throw, and it's caught by Franklin. And the Broncos are set up now to win the game.
Yep, and they did win the game. Don't sell the Broncos short. All of a sudden, the Denver Broncos, with Sean Payton as the coach. Finally, let's go to the Vikings and Bears. The Bears come back and win the game. They're the cardiac kids, the Bears. It's unbelievable the way the Bears are winning games these days. But in any event, J.J. McCarthy was terrible early in the game. He was all over the place. He had a 47.7 rating in this game. He was 16 for 32 for 150 yards. And he got picked by Nashawn Wright. And Nashawn Wright got really emotional in the end zone after he made an interception because he had played for that legendary coach, John Bean, who was recently murdered, the guy from Last Chance U. And he had to develop that program out there in California. And we got an interception in the end zone. He got down. He got really emotional. But anyway, the Bears win again, 19-17. They're now 7-3. Caleb Williams, 16 for 32 for 193 yards. Our old pal DeAndre Swift, 21 carries for 90 yards with the game-ending field goal, was set up by this magnificent kickoff return by Devin Duvernay.
Here's Devin Duvernay. Looks for a block. Oh, big room! Duvernay, look at this! across the 50, and a huge return for Devin Duvernay.
All right, there you go. That's around the NFL for today. Let's look at some Eagles grades. I always love to look at the next day when the writers who cover the Eagles give them grades. In this case, Jeff McClain of the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's just go over and see if we agree. Matt, you can come in on this. You can come in on this, and we'll see if we agree with his grades.
Okay.
All right, so here we go. First grade quarterback, Jalen Hurts. Completes just 50% of his passes for 135 yards, had some good throws, protected the football, got off to a slow start, never got into a rhythm. Quarterback grade he gives him is C. I would go lower. I would go C-.
I would go B- because he didn't turn the ball over.
You go B-.
Yeah, he would.
All right, that's one grade ahead of mine. All right, running back. Jeff McClain gives him a B- for running back. Saquon Barkley, 83 yards, 26 carries, but really tough running moments. And he had an early 14-yard run on a toss. Not much there. Tanks Bigby, though, came in there. So I'll give the running backs a B. We good with that?
Yeah, I concur. Yeah, it's a tough defense.
All right, receiver, tight end. Interesting grade here. He gives him a C. A.J. Brown got a lot of targets, caught 6 of his 8 targets for 43 yards early in the game, finished with 7 grabs on 11 targets for 49 yards. Brown had some nice catches. Devontae Smith kind of absent in this game, and tight end Dallas Goedert kind of absent in this game. But Dotson did make the big catch. They did have Darius Cooper false start on a tush-push attempt. Grant Calcaterra had a nice block in the game. But for the receivers, I would go C. How's that?
Yeah, I'll go C+ because of the conditions you mentioned. It wasn't an ideal weather day to catch balls.
I'm committed. I'm going C+. You convinced me. All right, offensive line. Interesting here because I thought Mailata had a really great game. I thought Fred Johnson held up his end as a right, but there were some penalties in this game. Cam Jurgens returned. I don't know. I think C is a little bit low of a grade. I'm going to give them a B.
Do you know how many games this year, Mike, the starting offensive line have played together?
Not many.
1.
Yeah, they've been banged up this year. And Stuart, a lot of people look at Saquon. What's wrong with Saquon? Well, that's part of the reason, that offensive line being all over the place.
So I'll go B to B+ because you're throwing in some guys in there in a tough spot. You mentioned Aiden Hutchinson, and to kind of corral that is very tough.
All right, defensive line. Oh man, A+ for me. Jeff McClain's grade is an A. To me, they couldn't get any better than they did last night, so I go A+.
Yeah, near perfection. I agree.
All right, linebacker all over the field. How about Nakobe Dean blitzing and also covering guys out of the backfield who are a lot faster? Jameson Williams, he had to cover a couple of times. Nakobe Dean was unbelievable last night. And Nakobe Dean, and that's why he's not using Campbell a lot. Fangio knows smart players. Nakobe Dean is one of the smartest players on that football field, and he uses them a lot. So linebacker, I'll go A.
Yeah, I'm with you. A-. That's a guy that you have to pay this offseason as well.
All right, cornerback. I'm going to go A cornerback too. Quinyon Mitchell shut down Amon St. Brown most of the time. Dory Jackson, he had a rough first half, but he also finished strong. I thought he made some good plays. Cooper DeJean got that deflection. And then in the safeties, Blankenship and Drew Makua had some nice plays. So I'm all good with that secondary. I'm going to give the secondary an A as well.
Likewise, it's a very good wide receiving core you were against.
All right, now finally, coaching. I cannot give, after that blunder, I cannot give Nick Sirianni an A. He keeps winning. I get it, but I cannot give him an A. So I'll give him a B+.
The best metric is winning, so I got to go A- because he still wins, Mike, even with hubris. He's like Billy Hoyle from White Man Cave. He wants to look bad but win, and you want him. You're Sidney Dean. You want him to look good and lose.
That's such a bad decision. You can't get anywhere near giving a guy an A. You can't give a guy an A with a bad decision like that.
He wins.
He wins. All right. Okay, he wins. All right, let's one final thing here. We had to clear. Let's look at the Eagles' upcoming schedule, which I teased a little bit earlier in this show. I see 14-3. I can't see any way around it. The way this team is playing, I go, all right, who's going to beat this team? Let's look at who they play. They're at the Cowboys next week. Then the Bears on a Black Friday game, short week at 3 p.m. Now, that could be a tough game, but it's at home. So the Eagles are going to be favored by, I don't know, they may be favored by 6 points in that game. At the Chargers, who stink. The Raiders, who stink. At the Commanders, who stink. Then at the Bills, second last game of the year. And then the Commanders again, who stink. Now, how many losses do you see? I see maybe one. I see maybe losing that Bills game. The Bills are probably going to need that game. It's going to be a big game for the Bills as far as their situation, their playoff situation. So at the Bills, I'll take that loss right there.
And so we don't split our NFC games. We sweep them, both the Cowboys and the Commanders, you think?
Do you think the Cowboys and the Commanders can beat this Eagles team?
I like the split. I
don't like the split.
Okay.
These teams aren't nearly as good. They're not nearly good enough to pull an upset over the way this defense is playing. Defense travels. Defense is a foundation. This defense is really tough to move the football against. So inferior teams aren't going to move the football unless it's a total fluke.
So this is a one seed football team in a month.
I think it is.
Wow.
I think they're headed to the number 1 seed in this division. All right. So there you go. That was Birds Look Back, Birds Brunch with Mike Missanelli. Again, the Eagles win it 16-9. A lot of things to unpack defensively in this game and offensively. I know everybody's going to fret this week about their offense. Don't fret, man. Were the Bears fans in '86 fretting about their offense? No. They didn't have much of an offense. They had Walter Payton. They had Willie Galt. They had a quarterback who wasn't that very good, and Jim McMahon, and their defense ran through everybody. This is that kind of defense. All right, thanks for hanging with us, everybody. Thanks to everybody who joined us on the chat. Thanks for viewing. You can get this on the podcast, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. We do it after every Eagles game, the day after. It's called Birds Brunch with Mike Missanelli. And Mike and Bratton says Mike is a tough grader. Mike, tough grader? I don't know. I threw a lot of A's out there. You know, I was a college professor once, and I wasn't a tough grader. You had to do the work. And if you go for a tush push at your own 30, you don't deserve an A. That's all I'm saying. All right. Have a great week, everybody. We'll talk to you with our podcast with Anthony Sanfilippo coming up Thursday right here on the On Patterson Network. Have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.